Hi, my name is Ashton Richards. I'm a sales consultant here with Veith Consulting, and today I wanted to go over a bit more of our event registrations attendee management section. So on the event registration list here, we're just going to look at this first option, and we're going to go under the attendees section. You're going to click on edit here, because this is going to allow for you to look at and edit any people who have registered for this event specifically. So on this page, you're going to see a few different options. To start with, at the top here, this attendee check-in and view edit event field attendance. These are options that are more for something that's covered in a later video, but basically would be doing attendance by field, so you can use custom fields to create different kind of what we call breakout sessions, and I'll go into that in a different video. So looking at the attendee list itself here, you have transaction, attendees, payment method, invoice, and functions. So on the transaction side here, you'll notice that you can click on contacts or orgs. This is basically determining how this is sorted. So contacts wise is how it's set up here by default. So it's going off of last name in alphabetical order. If I change this up to be orgs, then it then would do it based off of the organization that they belong to, and it's then alphabetical as well. The organization being what's in the black text here underneath the red link. And in the case of these ones here at the top, these don't have an organization, so these would come before A, for example, here. So I'll go ahead and change this back to contacts. Another thing to keep in mind here is this number for transactions may end up being different than this number of attendees here. This is normal because for the attendees, this is also including any additional attendees that were registered with that initial person. This 26 here is just the number of initial people that had registered. So the ones who went and created the registration who may have included these additional attendees as well. So if you do have a discrepancy here, it may be normal. You just want to look and see if you have people who are registering additional attendees to go with them. With that, you can also click on these links here for their names, and it will show you their registration summary. This is going to be about the same as what you would see in an email that you would get for registering for the event. So in this case, you'll have the different links to add it to your calendars, primary contact, a guest if they have guests, who it is, the package, registration fee, the different, in this case, the different breakout sessions that were selected, and any other options that were also selected. It will also include billing information, so how much it costs, what the payment method was, if it was paid. Then you can look at a PDF invoice or resend the confirmation email by clicking this link here. So next we'll look at the attendees column here. So here you'll notice that there's a checkbox next to the name. So this checkbox is how you would denote if they have in fact attended the event. So if you check the box here, you'll see at the top right this black box pops up saying success. This is saying that it has now successfully saved that Jane admin has attended this event. You can uncheck the box, same thing. It'll just save that they did not, in fact, attend the event. There's also the transcript option here. So we go ahead and click on this. This goes with the thing I had mentioned before about those custom fields with the breakout sessions. So usually people can use that for continuing education credits, and that's kind of the thought process you'll want to have in looking at a transcript, is it'll show any kind of continuing education credits that may have been earned based off of the session that they picked here. The next thing here is this summary button. So if we go ahead and click on this, it'll give you pretty rough breakdown of the same kind of information that we saw before with that registration summary. So contact info, payment info, registration info, and the different fields. The next section here is payment method entry. So the first thing here, this 3-letter abbreviation outside of the parentheses, this is the payment method. So in this first case, it's a credit card payment, or CCP. The entry type is PUB, or public page. Underneath this you have event, EVT, and admin, ADM. There are quite a few different options here, and if you want more information, you can click on this blue information icon. It'll give you a list of all the different payment method types and what their abbreviations would be, as well as what the different entry types are and what their abbreviations would be. So this is helpful for, like, at a glance you can see how someone paid and where it was that they signed up for it. And it's really helpful if you're registering people as an admin, because you can see that here. So if you see someone, for example, having an option selected that is normally restricted and only selectable by an admin, this is how you could determine if it was in fact an admin who registered them. The next column here is going to be the invoice. So we come in here and you'll see the invoice number, and you can view the PDF invoice or email it. You'll see the amount that is due, the invoice date, and you can change that. The payment method type, same thing as what was on the outside there. This next part here is important. So it shows if it was paid or not. In this case, it has not been paid, and then underneath it has amount due, still the full $250. Now, the reason why this piece is important is while it says paid and no, it will continue to say that it has not been paid until the full amount has been paid. So if you allow for people to make partial payments and they do a partial payment, it will still say no to the status as if this was paid or not. So that's something that's kind of important to keep in mind. Underneath here, you'll see payment information. So if payments have been entered, you'd see that in here. If you want to record a new payment, you just click this link here. Payment date. If it's a credit, like make it say, like let's say that they earned a credit for a free event registration. You can check the box here, make the payment amount equivalent, and you can go ahead and save it. You can also include any payment notes. If they're paying by a check, you can include the check number here, and you also can include the payment amount here. If you want to process the online payment by PayPal, if you use PayPal, then there is a link for that by the gateway or your merchant account of choice. So if you have something else set up as your merchant account, like let's say Authorize.net, Stripe, anything like that you can find on our MemberLeap sales page as well, then this link would take you through that whole process. If you want to do electronic check payment also through your merchant account, you would do that here. If you want to select your payment options, you can do that as well. At the bottom here, there's refund information. So you can process refund, record refund only. So these are just a few options for setting up a refund. The other thing to keep in mind is there is a process if you want to refund someone. You need to make sure that you void the invoice first, and then you can go through and do the refund piece. So as an example, we'll go ahead and look at one of these here that has this -PD indicating it's been paid. So in here you'll notice here paid is yes, because the amount due is now 0. The payment information shows the day it was paid, it gives you a transaction ID, and the amount that was paid. To the right of that, you also have these other options here. So if you want to do a refund, make sure that you click void here, because as long as you void this transaction first, it would then also allow for you to go back in here and make any kind of edits or changes to this that you would need to make. So that's for the invoice section. For functions, we have edit, notes, void, send confirmation email, and print name badge. So we'll go ahead and look at this edit option first. So here, if you look at the edit, it's about the same thing as what you would see in registering for the event. So same kind of information that's being asked. Then it would take you to this last page here showing information, contact info, guest info. If you have it if you have your configuration set up to allow for you to bring in any cross-referenced members quickly, that's where this section comes into play. If you want to manually add in another guest, you can just do add another guest to this registration here, and it would then take you through the same process, but you would also need to make sure you select a package and any other custom field options that have been established for the event. Once you're done with all that, you just click on this complete registration. You're going to want to make sure that any changes that you make throughout this whole process, you go through and do complete registration to save those changes and make it so that you don't end up accidentally corrupting anything about that existing registration. So next we can look at notes here. And for the notes here, these are just admin notes. So the one who registered for it's not going to see any of these, but these notes can also show up on that last page. So if we say this is a test note, save and continue. Now you'll notice that on the attendees column underneath the person's name, you can see that note that was in fact added here. So now if I come back in here and I delete this, that note no longer exists. If you want to quickly void a registration, you can do that here. If you want to resend the confirmation email because this person contacted you and said that they weren't able to receive that email or they never saw it or anything like that, or maybe they accidentally deleted it, you can just click on this for that specific record. It'll prompt you if you want to resend the confirmation email. Then you would just click send email and you'd see that black success box up at the upper right corner again. The last thing on this section here is this print name badge. So here, this is just a pretty basic name badge with a little barcode that includes the name. So if you want to potentially print something like that, you can do that there. Now at the bottom here, there's a few different things to look at. So first, for the column about the attendees, there's this clear all and mark all. So what this would do is this is taking into account the checkboxes here. So if you want to clear every instance of a checkbox existing, you would just click on clear all. If you want to mark everyone in mass as attended, you just click on mark all. So that's just kind of an easy way to do it if you know for a fact that no one showed up or everyone showed up. Or if you need to make any kind of little changes or something and it's just faster for you to clear everything and then just manually go in and check those boxes, you can do that too. At the bottom here, this is how you would manually add someone to the attendee list here. So this is where the case where, like, say, an admin registering someone for the event, this is where that would happen. So down here, there's a few different ways that you can do this. You can add someone from your database. So in this box here, you just go ahead and search for someone. So let's say add this record. So you click add. It would go through and start having you fill out the information. If you want to update the member profile with whatever you put in here, you can do that as well. Go ahead and do continue. Next, you'll see registration fee. If you want to include a member dues payment, you can do that here. You then can select the package selection. And the thing to keep in mind with this too is if you have packages restricted to only be selectable by admins, that this would still show those restricted packages. So ordinarily, this is what the person would be seeing when they're registering, minus any restricted fields. But you'd be seeing those restricted fields because you're going through here as an admin. Then you have the event information, so this would be those custom fields with the different sessions in play, and anything else that you'd want to include. So next we'll go back here. So that's if you want to add someone from your database. If you want to add someone not in the database, you would just click this Add Attendee button and start filling out this information. Then keep in mind that depending on how you have your global configuration set up, you can make it so that those who are added or who are registering for the event who aren't in the database, their information would then be saved and kept as a prospect record or a non-member record in your database. It's just kind of up to you and how you have things set up. Then the last thing on this page here is at the bottom, there is this show voids option. So down here it'll show the last names of some people who were voided already, as well as a number. If you click on this show voids button, what happens is now these show up back up here at the top. So you'll see this transaction number is now saying 31, not 26. So those 5 were added back up here. Then with that, you can see that the cases where it was voided, before the name, it has void in parentheses here. With that, there's also nothing here as far as a checkbox to mark this person as attended. One more thing I want to go over a bit is the reports for this specific event. So up here at the top where it's main menu, event list, reports, and change event, you can just click on this reports link and you're looking at reports for this specific event. So we have a few different options here. So there's attendee reports, attendance reports, booth reports, sign-in sheets, payment invoice reports, name tags, or miscellaneous. Depending on your needs, there should be a report for anything that you need here. And if you're not finding exactly what it is you're looking for, I recommend reaching out to our customer support staff and they can assist you with finding what it is that you want. And if there isn't one existing, then you can always check with them to see about getting a report added in as a customization. One that I'll go over a bit here is this query report creator. So we'll go ahead and create new report. So to begin with here, you'd select which packages you want to include in this query. Custom fields to include. If you have custom fields set up, you can select any of these that you want. So let's say this blueberry muffins for breakfast option we'll have selected. Then you have additional parameters to include in the query. So if you want to set it up so there's a registration date and you just use this as a cutoff for a before and after date, you can do that here. If you want to set up attendee ID, organization, state, payment status, payment method, then you have the output options. You can choose how you want to have the thing sorted. Your output selection, I recommend doing the HTML table because this will help you see the most that you want. Because with that, it then allows for you to basically select from a variety of fields here. Same thing as any of the other kind of selection things that we have. You can just click these and it'll just track one. Or if you want to do multiples, you can just hold Control and click multiple options here. If you want to unselect them, while still holding Control, just click the option again and it'll deselect them. Or if you want to mass select from one point to another, just hold Shift, click the first option, while holding Shift, click a second option. But again, you can just hold Control and deselect whichever options you want. So we'll start with this. So we'll do first name, last name, organization, and email for fields to include. Generate the report. And here you'll see the output of said report for the people who have attended or registered for this event. Hopefully you found this video helpful. We look forward to working with you and I hope you have a great day.